Our story begins in Athens. Out on the street, an Athenian woman stands alone, with the Acropolis at her back, that landmark of Hellenic splendor. The woman is Lysistrata, the play's eponymous heroine. She talks to herself irritably, waiting with visible vexation for other women to arrive. One soon does. Her friend, Calanice. This gives Lysistrata someone to direct her rants towards, and she bemoans the tardiness of the other women. Our heroine then explains that this is all for a matter of the utmost importance. The fate of all Greece could be in their hands. Calanice dryly comments that if Greece's fate is in the hands of their sex, then it is unlikely to be saved. But Lysistrata insists that, in fact, women are uniquely placed to serve this duty, and that her plan will not require anything outside of the natural limits of their sex. Those are the very things which I assume will save us. Short dresses, perfume, slippers, makeup, and clothing men can see through. Another Athenian woman soon arrives, Myrrhine, followed closely by Lampito, a woman from Sparta. Taken aback by the Spartan specimen the Athenians see before them, Lysistrata cannot help but compliment Lampito's breasts, and after the two engage in some innuendo about the women from Corinth and Boeotia, Lysistrata begins to address the gathered about the state of Greece and the absence of their husbands. By now, the armies engaged in the Peloponnesian War have been ravaging the lands for 2 decades, with no end in sight. Lysistrata asks, "The fathers of your children, don't you miss them when they're away at war? I know that not one of you has a husband at home." And the women reply in several answers, "Mine, my dear, has been away for 4 months, on the Thracian coast, keeping an eye on our general there. And mine has been at Pylos for a full 7 months. And as for my man, if he ever does turn up at home, straight away he's fitted his shield on his arm and flown off again. Why, there isn't even one to have an affair with, not even the ghost of one. Since the Milesians betrayed us, I haven't even seen one of those 6-inch leather jobs which used to help us when all else failed." Lysistrata reassures them, "Well then, if I found a way to do it, would you be prepared to join with me in putting a stop to the war?" The women are enthusiastic. "By the holy twain, I would, even if I had to cut myself in two like a flatfish and give half of myself for the cause. I'd climb up to the top of Taygetus to get a glimpse of peace. Then I will tell you all plain, there's no point in keeping it back. Women, if we want to force our men to make peace, we must renounce sex." "Why are you turning away from me? Where are you going? What does all this pursing of lips and tossing of heads mean? You're all going pale. I can see tears. Will you do it or won't you? Answer me." And Myrrhine comically replies, "I won't do it. Just let the war go on." The women protest that they will walk through fire, but they could never possibly swear off sex. But after some pleading, Lysistrata manages to convince Lampito of the plan, and hesitantly, one by one, the women are persuaded to take an oath. "To husband or lover, I'll not open arms, though love and denial may enlarge his charms. But still at home, ignoring him I'll stay, beautiful, clad in saffron silks all day. If then he seizes me by dint of force, I'll give him reason for a long remorse. I'll never lie and stare up at the ceiling, nor like a lion on all fours go kneeling. If I can keep faith, then bounteous cups be mine. If not, the nauseous water change this wine." The women wince and force themselves to repeat these words, even though the thought of celibacy brings poor Calanice to the brink of fainting. Lampito is then sent back to organize the women's movement in her native Sparta, and the other women march on to the Acropolis and bar themselves inside. Now the women also hold the treasury of Athens in their keeping. In retaliation, the chorus of old men clash with the chorus of women in a storm of words, which then leads to the men trying to start a fire to smoke the women out, until Stratilis, one of the elder women, is apprehended. The women douse the men in water, quenching their fires and leaving the men ignominiously drenched. The ruckus draws in an Athenian magistrate who had been on his way up to the Acropolis to withdraw some money from the treasury for the oars of the Athenian warships. Lysistrata informs the magistrate that the women will now handle the exchequer, which they will have a natural aptitude for, given that they manage the household finances. Up until now, through this long war, we kept silent about all those things you men were doing. We were being modest, and you did not allow us to speak up, although we were not happy. But still, we listened faithfully to you, and often inside the house we heard your wretched plans for some great deed. And if we ached inside, we'd force a smile and simply ask, today in the assembly, did the men propose a treaty carved in stone decreeing peace? But our husbands said, is that your business? Why don't you shut up? And I'd stay silent. So there I am at home, saying nothing. Then you tell us of another project, even stupider than before. We'd say, how can you carry out a scheme like that? It's foolish. Immediately, he'd frown and say to me, if you don't spin your thread, you'll get a major beating on your head. War is men's concern. Is that sensible? Not to take advice when what you're proposing is so silly? Then we heard you speaking in the streets, asking openly, are there any men still left here on our land? And someone said, by God, there's no one. Well then, after that, it seemed to us we had to rescue Greece by bringing wives into a single group with one shared aim. Why should we delay? If you'd like to hear us give some good advice and start to listen, keep your mouths quite shut the way we did. We'll save you from yourselves. After berating the magistrate, Lysistrata then emasculates him further by adorning him with her headdress and forcing a basket into his arms. Lysistrata is driven by a single-minded purpose. She is tenacious, fending off all who would sabotage her plans, both from outside and within. Many of the women, insatiable with lust and crumbling in principle, plead with Lysistrata to let them leave the Acropolis, for a profusion of comical reasons. They cannot uphold the sex strike. Lysistrata retreats indoors to bring discipline to her rebellion, and coming closer, an Athenian warrior is seen in the distance. It is Synesius, husband of Myrrhine, and he has brought their son and servant. Myrrhine goes out to him, flirtatiously teasing him with her sensuality, driving him mad with sexual frustration. You'd like to? Then, my little Myrrhine, lie down right here. You must be joking. In front of our dear baby child? No, by God. Manus, take the boy back home. All right, then. The lad's no longer in the way. Lie down. But you silly man, where do we do it? Where? The cave of Pan's an excellent place. But, over and over, Myrrhine pretends to give in to her husband's desires and leverages his frustration into supporting a peace agreement. She then returns to the Acropolis, leaving her husband humiliated and unsatisfied. He's not the only man in such a state, as a herald from Sparta arrives. He comes beseeching an audience with the Athenian Senate, with the intention of reaching a settlement and ending the war. But Synesius, suspicious of the enemy's man, asks, if he is here for peace, then why does he hand a lance beneath his cloak? Oh yes, is this one too? He indicates towards his own phallus. You needn't think I'm a fool. What is the present situation in Sparta? It's a total cock-up through all Laconia. All our allies are risen, and are standing absolutely firm. We've no got Pelean. The proud men of Sparta have been brought to heel by the sex strike, thanks to the intervention of Lampito. Upon the news of peace, the chorus of men and women fuse together, finally uniting the two sexes in harmony. Lysistrata comes forward as a great peacemaker, along with a woman of divine beauty and sexuality, known simply as reconciliation. Now, unto you, O Spartans, do I speak. Do you forget how your own countryman, Pericleides, once came hither suppliant before our altars, pale in his purple robes, praying for an army when in Messenia, danger growling, and the sea god made earth quaver. Then with 4,000 hoplites, Cimon marched and saved all Sparta. Yet, base ingrates now, you are ravaging the soil of your preservers. By Zeus, they do great wrong, Lysistrata. Great wrong indeed. Oh, what a luscious wench. And now I turn to the Athenians. Have you forgotten too, how once the Spartans in days when you wore slavish tunics came and with their spears broke a Thessalonian host and all the partisans of Hippias? They alone stood by your shoulder on that day. They freed you, so that for the slave's short skirt you should wear the trailing cloak of liberty. I've never seen a nobler woman anywhere. Sex-starved Athenian and Spartan hosts negotiate who gets which part of the woman, Greece's regions. The Peloponnesian War is brought to an end. Gaiety and merriment erupt, with the Athenians and Spartans dancing and drinking with one another, finally bringing about peace.
If you enjoyed this piece of premium content from the Lotus Eaters, head to our website where you can find more.